I've got DiJaDi.
Howdy.
And I've got Craig there in the back. No farmer today. Farmer was busy with a local music festival, so he is wiped, is what he said. Again, I mean, it's Monday night, for you guys, right? Yeah, it's just interesting. Just interesting how that all works out. Okay, to get started, I want to go on a little bit of a rant. We've talked about how we are streamers here, and one of the things that comes up a lot when you're a streamer is, stuff just kind of stops working sometimes, right, D?
Reason, yeah.
Or you're just always dealing with tech problems, I feel like, as a streamer.
Well,
just
okay,
always.
So I have some insight into that. Essentially, streaming is basically live production. And every other live production, no matter how professional it was, event that I've taken part in or assisted in, has had issues. Like, it's just kind of the nature of live production. And so, like, that kind of makes me, like, feel a little bit better about, like, streaming having so many issues, just because, like, when you're trying to do things on the fly, it doesn't matter how much you prepare, just something ends up messing up. Like, that's just how it goes.
Well, something ends up messing up, but then also, like, for me, my stream setup is kind of a big part of my overall setup, right? So
sure, yeah.
I am running a dual monitor setup right now. I have one monitor for my computer, and I have one monitor that I run that's just really for gaming. So, like, basically I have a capture card, and I'm looking at the monitor from the capture card, right? Which then plugs into my iPad. This is a whole nother thing of that I stream off my iPad, not my computer. And so I have this HDMI switcher, right? And what it does is it's an A/B switcher. So it's one HDMI out, but two in. So you can plug in two devices and you push a button and it changes which device is being looked at. You are familiar with something like this, right, D?
Sure, yeah.
I've had this same button thing for a long time. I actually bought it before I was streaming for just my regular TV stuff, for going between, like, the Switch and the Xbox series. Once the Xbox got rid of that HDMI in, right, I wanted to have another button so I could just go between them. So this thing works great. I've actually been using it for, like, literal years now. Right. And honestly, like, the mechanics of it is super simple,
You think would be a good thing?
Which you would think, right? I mean, it's just a button and it changes. And so what I've been doing recently is I have my Steam Deck here and my Xbox. And sometimes I want to stream on Xbox. Sometimes I want to stream on my Steam Deck. So I have this HDMI switcher and I just push a button and it changes which HDMI input it's taking, right? If I'm going to do Steam Deck or Xbox. This is very important.
Is this a small little thing, or is it okay, yeah.
It's like the size of an AirPods case, almost.
Okay, yeah.
Really little. And again, not complicated, right? Like, there's one button on it and 3 ports. That's it. And, like, there's 2 indicator lights to show which one is what. This has worked no issues until last week when I started wanting to stream Octopath Traveler on my Steam Deck. I go ahead to go do my first stream, and my HDMI out's not working on my old dock. Now I feel bad because actually, honestly, I wonder if it's a Steam Deck setting, because I was like, oh, my HDMI out's not working. So I run through all the tests, right? Is it the cable? Is it the port? Is it, like, the capture card itself? What's going on here? Because my Xbox is working just fine. Right. So I, like, switch the cables between them both. I switch the ports between them both. Picks up the Xbox, no problem. But I'm not getting any HDMI output from the Steam Deck dock, which I have, like, this USB-C HDMI dongle. I'm getting it out of there. So I plugged it into there. Was doing that. So I ordered the official Steam Deck dock because I was, using an aftermarket one because it was cheaper. And at the time, like, they didn't have it in stock, right? Like the official one. So I got it. I'm kind of excited about having the official one anyway, right? Like you get another charger and all that stuff. Like so I'm actually pretty pumped about it. I get the new Steam Deck dock. It also doesn't work, D. No HDMI. Now
That's the best thing. It's
it
like
doesn't
buying
work.
new hardware and it's just like not fixing your problem. Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I have an update for the Steam Deck dock. Surely this will fix it. It didn't fix it. So I've got no HDMI out. Or no, that's not true. But if I plug in directly, right, directly to the capture card, which I didn't try this with the other dock, it works. If I plug directly in, it's fine. I have no idea what the issue is. I don't know if there was an update. I don't know if there was a setting change or what. But like it doesn't work anymore. So like I can't plug in to this HDMI switcher. So basically here's the solution that I have at this point. Because again, also remember, I've tried multiple HDMI cords. I've tried all that stuff. The Xbox works no matter what. It's the Steam Deck, which is the one I'm trying to use, is not doing it. So now I am running directly from my Steam Deck dock into the capture card, which I'm using an Elgato HD60S Plus, I think is what it's called. It's like a little black puck. I'm using that. The Steam Deck runs directly into it. So now if I want to play Xbox, I have to unplug the HDMI cable from my Steam Deck dock and plug it into the back of my Xbox, which on paper is really not that bad. I want to throw that out there, right? You just unplug one cable and you plug it into another thing. Boom, you're good to go. In reality, it means I'm probably not going to play Xbox as much if I'm been doing a lot of Steam Deck or vice versa, right? Because I don't want to pull it back slightly so I can get the HDMI cable out and jam it into the other one. It's the reality of the situation, D. And I don't know what the problem is. I really don't know what the issue is. But I'm not.
Those are the tech problems I hate the most. Is like where you don't know where the breakdown is. You don't know why it's not working. You just know that it was working, and now it's not.
It was working, and now it's not. And then there's like this other weird thing that like it's such a weirdly niche problem that like I'm also not finding anything for it, right? Like it's just kind of like all this, like when I'm looking up that it like the Steam Deck isn't working with the capture card, it's people actually trying to use the capture card like in the Steam Deck on desktop mode in OBS. And they're like, oh, it's not compatible because it's Linux. And it's like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the HDMI out of the dock isn't being read. But I mean, I've isolated it to the switcher, right? But I don't know what the actual problem is. So I don't know if I buy a new switcher, if that's going to fix the problem or not. I mean, I just spent like $100 buying a new dock and it didn't fix the problem. I'm not so keen on buying a new HDMI switcher, to not fix the problem as well.
That's fair. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at some HDMI switchers. I mean, there are some cheap ones out there, but none of these are nearly as cool as the one that I have. I mean, the one I have is super robust. It like has like a real button on it, and it's just like a little AirPods case, basically. Oh, this is the one I have right here. Wow, it's like $5.
The one that you have?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe I should buy a new one.
I mean, if the setup was working, it is possible that the device is what failed, I mean, like, that's definitely a possibility. I still don't know why.
But it doesn't
my
make sense in that
setup,
I can plug the Xbox into either port and it works perfectly.
Right.
There's an A port and a B port. It doesn't matter what cable I'm using. I can't. It doesn't read the Steam Deck for some reason. Doesn't matter the cable. Doesn't matter the port. Xbox, it reads fine. What is it? Is that I don't know.
I don't know. I had a similar problem with my ROG Ally. Well, not quite the same, but like I couldn't get like 4K output and I couldn't get sound for some reason. Where it was working and then it just stopped working. And like I couldn't figure it out. And so I ended up buying a new third-party dock and that fixed it somehow. but like it was frustrating because like I bought like multiple other parts before I settled on that dock, and like I was using a like a little like HDMI adapter thing that was like a little like it was just like a small little cable with like a dongle on the end, you know? And that was what was working fine, and then it stopped working. And then so I bought another one, but it was a different brand, and that didn't work. So then I went back to the old one, and the old one wasn't working anymore. And I was just like, what the heck? And so like I ended up buying like the official ROG Ally dock, and that didn't work. And then I bought a bunch of HDMI cables. So now I have like 15 HDMI cables in a box in my closet now. Just like, and I switched out every cable, and that didn't work. And like, I'm pretty sure it's not my capture card, it's not my switcher, because like every other device works fine with those, you know? But like, I couldn't tell you. Like, yeah, it was just so frustrating. It's so frustrating to have tech problems sometimes.
It's so ridiculous, right? And then like the way I'm streaming is weirdly niche, which this is such a weirdly niche conversation of like, I am running everything through an iPad Pro. So I have a capture card that I have plugged into this USB dock that's plugged into my iPad Pro. And I also have an audio interface plugged into this USB dock. And then like I do all of that through the iPad, and that's how I'm streaming right now. And honestly, it runs great. It works great. And even then it's like, oh, for me to have audio, how you do that? I actually plug into the headphone jack on my Steam Deck and run it through my audio interface. That's how I do audio. And the only thing I haven't worked out is how I would want to do Discord audio. I figured out a decent way to do it through the Steam Deck. I haven't quite gotten a great way of doing it through the Xbox yet. But also that's how I do on the Xbox. So for the first time, I'm actually using that headphone jack in the Xbox controller. I just plug into that and I'm getting game audio through there, which is really sweet. So
that's sweet. That's so wild though, too, to think about.
It's really
like, I
wild.
haven't used that in so long.
Yeah, same, right? Same. I've never really, well, I mean, haven't used it in forever. And so that's pretty cool. But like, I mean, on one hand, the cool thing is technically I could like bring the Steam Deck and my iPad and I could bring everything to like a Starbucks technically and stream at Starbucks, right? Like it would probably look like a crazy mess, but it would work. So I don't know, D. I'm a little frustrated. I thought that this was going to fix my problem. Did not fix my problem, sadly, which I am pretty bummed about. Tech problems, man. You know, it's like the biggest first world problem. You know, to have
it kind of is, yeah. And then you just got to find a workaround. But I mean, like on the plus side, like you and I, we've had a lot of experience with like troubleshooting tech problems.
This is very true. Well, and like, what's the workaround right now is that I have to manually plug in and unplug a HDMI cable, which for me
kind of sucks, but also is like,
as opposed to hitting a button. Yeah. It kind of sucks. I think the bigger problem for me is like what would suck more is like I'm going to get a phone call one day while I'm out of the house and like, you know, they want to use my Xbox in the studio. And it's like, how do I've already taught them like, okay, you have to plug this in here. You know, you have to plug in the controller to like the audio cable here. You have to turn on my audio interface. You have to make sure it's plugged into the iPad. You have to turn on the speaker to get sound because I don't have a TV. It's just a monitor, right, with no sound. So you have to do all that. And then now I'm going to have to be like, okay, you got to unplug the HDMI cable from the Steam Deck dock, the back of this. Like it just is painful for someone who doesn't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
No, for sure.
Like,
for sure. Yeah.
Which again, huge first world problem of like, oh, it's hard for me to explain over the phone how to do it for people who might want to play an Xbox game while I'm not in the house, kind of a deal. But why does stuff have to break? I mean, in the end, I do like the official dock a bit more, to be honest with you. Like the setup of it looks nice. It has a nice, I like the cable more. And the power cable it came with is nicer and such. So that's cool, but it is a huge... What happened? That's just what I want to know. What happened?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Why did this happen to me?
I love figuring... I need to figure things out, right? Like that's a huge thing for me. I need to know how things work. That's why I did that makeup stream like 2 years ago or whatever. Like, I mean, like, it's just like an innate like desire to like actually know, right? To have the knowledge of. And so when I run into a tech problem that I can't figure out, despite like having years of experience or whatever, and being, I would say, better than average, not an expert, but better than average, better than like a layman at like dealing with this stuff. I feel like, what the heck? Like, I should be able to figure this out.
It drives you kind of
Like,
crazy,
yeah,
right? Exactly.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what is the problem? What is the setting? What did I change a setting on my Steam Deck that's causing this? Did something break? One of the things that did happen is I did a factory reset on my Steam Deck. So there very well could be a setting that I had different, but like I can't figure out what it would be. I've combed through it.
Yeah.
Like, is it an update? Is it what? I mean, what is that? What is that thing that like oh god, where it's like HDMI, like it doesn't let it go through. It's just a black screen. Like PlayStation had this problem. Do you remember? Where like the HDMI out had like some special protection that you had to turn off or something to put it into a capture card. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like it's basically, yeah. I kind of almost like it better in some ways. It's like the HDCP. Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, the HDCP. Yeah. It's like, did I somehow turn off that and it's back on? I don't see any settings for it. Like, I don't even know. D. But anyway, I feel the need to bring up, we've been talking for a little bit. There is a new pope and he's from Chicago. So there you go. Boom.
Yeah.
Actually, it's even better. He's not from Chicago. He's from the suburbs, but he says he's from Chicago, which is the most Chicago thing I've ever heard. So,
yes,
there is that. But other than that, what's up, D? How you been?
I've been keeping busy. Fell back into Destiny.
I'm about to end this podcast. Like, what? What are you even playing? What story did they dribble out for you to get back into?
Okay, so a couple days, I think it was Wednesday of last week. They had their announcement of like what's upcoming for Destiny, and essentially what they're going to do is they're going to do 2 expansions a year. They're not going to do like the seasonal content in the same way anymore. And they also dropped 3 dungeons for everyone, which is really cool.
You need to stop giving them money. You need to stop giving them money, dude.
Well, I haven't given them any extra money this time yet so far. We'll see, though. But like, so the first expansion is called, I don't know, something to do with fate. Obviously, it really made an impact on me.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say Eris Morn was killed, right, in the game?
It seemed like it, yeah, but I didn't.
Oh, it seemed like it, but now
so
she's not.
Know. I don't know. She might be dead. I'm not sure. I would imagine she is, but like I didn't finish that season, so I'm not sure.
My favorite thing about that is like I really don't care. That's where Destiny got me. You're like, Eris Morn died. I'm like, listen, at this point, who cares?
Well, you wanted her to die since the first game, so I mean, I thought you might enjoy that news. But and also like I don't know, like it seems like a wasted character if she did die, because there were all these lore things that indicated that she'd be like a bad guy, and it would have been really cool to see some of that come to fruition, like almost like Fast and Furious cool, like. Is Dom Toretto? I just watched Fate of the Furious, so this is why this is on my mind. But is Dom Toretto a bad guy, or is he still part of the family?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. But The Edge of Fate is the first expansion, and then they're also doing another expansion this year in December called Renegade. Now, The Edge of Fate just seems like kind of normal Destiny stuff focused on the 9. Interesting. Okay. The rumor was that we'd be going out of.
Interesting. Okay, that's like the least
Yeah.
interesting I've ever heard. Like, interesting. Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, more Destiny is more Destiny, right? Like the thing that I've discovered about Destiny is that it's really true, I guess, for everything. Is like it's really hard to recapture the novelty of something, right? I like the closest I've ever seen that actually recaptured is kind of like in Mass Effect Andromeda,
Ooh,
because they
interesting.
completely switch the tone, like you're going into a new area that you've never been and you're exploring it for the first time, and it kind of almost recaptures like the whole idea of like this like space saga that you're on, right?
Interesting, because I can think of one movie that I think did a great job recapturing the magic of the original. You ready? The Force Awakens.
Oh sure, yeah, no, I would agree with that. Yeah,
I think they did a great job of recapturing it.
yeah, I would absolutely agree. Yeah.
But I would agree in that it is really hard to do. It's really hard to
Yes.
recapture that kind of stuff. Yeah.
With Destiny, the first game and the tone of the first game and just like setting like that world up and that exploration up, it still gives me chills to go back and watch the original trailer, like the original intro video and stuff. Like there's just something magical about it. And it's just really difficult to recapture that like sense of wonder, of mystery, of like enigma, and like of like just not knowing what's ahead, the uncertainty and the excitement.
To play the bad guy in this conversation, you know who else didn't know what was ahead and the uncertainty? The developers and writers of that game. They were, it reminds me of like a Ryan George skit where it's like, what is it? I don't know. Like it's just like,
I think they had a vision for it, but then I think that vision changed,
I think whatever employee had a vision for it probably got let go by Bungie a while ago. Hey.
I mean, very possible. Yeah. But so the rumor was that like this new expansion would take us out of like the solar system, right? And there's a planet called Kepler, apparently, which is an out of solar system planet in real life. But in the expansion, it's just a 9 infused place at the edge of our system. So we're not leaving our solar system. And it's like, okay, well, like, I mean, like, I don't think that would have been enough to like rekindle that like sense of wonder that like Destiny originally had for me. But like, it would have been an interesting way to kind of like try to introduce something novel and new, you know
what I think was novel and interesting and new? The Taken.
Sure.
When they introduced the Taken and the Dreadnought, that was pretty different, and it felt really scary and new.
And I would argue that the Taken are probably the most like different enemy that they've introduced like since, when it comes down to it.
But they had such an opportunity. Have we talked about this? Have we talked about this on stream? They had such a great opportunity here when the Taken were introduced for you to become Taken. Like if they were going to let the Taken King, because that was the question, right? Can they like corrupt Guardians and stuff like that? Like how cool would it have been to, as part of the story, for the Guardians to become Taken and for you to actually carry out missions against the tower? You know what I mean? Where you're like doing that kind of stuff. And then the ending of it be that they have figured out a way, probably through Eris Morn, because she's a loser, to undo it. Right? Like that would have been a really cool story. That's not, what they did instead? They were like, no, actually, you know what solves the Taken problem? More bullets. Just shoot them a lot. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, this is true.
But so the thing is of the 9, and then what?
So the second
really quick. Let me say this really quick. I'm talking all this crap about Destiny. If I could play Destiny on the Steam Deck, I probably would be playing it more now. Just throwing that out there, but I can't, so I'm not interested.
That's fair. I think also, like, I don't know, like the problem is too, and I was discussing this with Daniel a little while ago. It's really difficult to like find anything else that does what Destiny does in like the same way. I just don't think that most other games like are able to do as much as it does, as well as it does. There might be a few games that do like certain things better, but like Destiny overall is just an experience that's like really hard to replicate or compete with. Just in like the level of polish, the level of like, like everything working together. And part of that too is that it's a 10-year-old franchise that's had like time to grow and mature, and like that they're pretty careful generally. They still care about balancing, maybe too much, arguably. But yeah, it's just that's one of the things that keeps on bringing me back is that like Destiny is a pretty unique experience, and I live for unique experiences. I really do. But also, in terms of like becoming Taken, you know what else they did instead of making us Taken is they made Sloan Taken, or at least half Taken.
That's right. They did do that. Yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah, for that one season, which was like arguably the worst season they've had in a while. And it should have been so cool. But yeah,
I was so pumped. You know what? That may be part of it too, though, is I was super pumped about like the Titan season, and it was a pretty big letdown.
One thing I do appreciate is that when they recognize something isn't working now, by seeing player counts like completely fall like to the depths of the basement floor, that they do make changes. And so like Frontiers, which is like this whole aspect of like Destiny Beyond, like the last expansion, the Light and Darkness saga or whatever, like is different. Like they are making substantial changes. Like they're doing 2 expansions a year instead of trying to do like this episode thing that they did for 1 year and couldn't make it work. Right. And I do appreciate like them not trying to continue to make something work that just clearly wasn't, And I also think that like substantial drops of content might get me in more so than seasons, because seasons are frustrating in that like you kind of have to be there every week or whatever for like the one sentence of story that you get or whatever. And then you also have to grind out like all your stuff that you want to grind out. But like for expansions, which is the old way of doing things for DLC, like that's just a drop of content that's usually fairly dense or whatever. And they've compared like the size of each expansion to about like Rise of Iron at least size, And so like that could get me in for like those 2 drops, and then I don't have to worry about Destiny for, like other than that, right? Which I would actually really appreciate. But the second one, which is the more interesting one, in my opinion, because like as much as it's like, oh, who are the 9 and all that, because they've been quietly sort of teasing that over the past 10 years, maybe too much.
I love Destiny just like being like, hey, you guys are interested in this, right? And it's like, I don't think any of us asked for this, but anyway, continue.
Yeah. Well, some people might have asked that like 5 years ago. Like, I mean, like, but like after you like make subtle references but don't really give any information after 10 years, it's kind of like the mystery's kind of dead at that point. It's kind of like a cold case. It's like, okay, sure, it'd be interesting to know what happened, but like it's been so long that like whatever.
Yeah, like who cares? Yeah.
Yeah. And they do that a lot, which I think actually does detract from like some of their story elements, that they like wait so long to answer questions. It's like watching like a TV show for like 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 seasons and like still having questions, and then like finally at the end they answer it, and it's like that wasn't worth all this time that I just put in.
Are you just describing Lost right now?
No. Lost is fantastic. Okay. It's all about the characters. It's kind of like Fast and Furious in that way.
Or Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah. The second expansion for Destiny 2 seems to be an homage to Star Wars, like ridiculously so. In which case, like they're having someone hold a lightsaber.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what? But there's there's no lightsabers in Destiny. There's swords.
I imagine that it'll be a sword that's like, like a, but like the in the CGI trailer, they have a blaster that clearly resembles like a Star Wars blaster. They have like it's a very short teaser. It's got like a Tatooine backdrop at the end. It's got like a ship, like with the like Star Wars door opening, and everything, and like it's and all the armor looks very Star Warsy. It just like looks absolutely like a straight up like Star Wars mod kind of. So I guess we'll see what that is. And supposedly we'll learn more about that in September.
But doesn't that kind of break it? Doesn't, you know what I mean?
That's
doesn't
my
kind of,
problem. That's kind of the issue. Yep.
Like, no, the whole point of this is that this is its own thing, and it's not that. And they're like, oh no, guess what? It's Star Wars. It's like, so what? Does anyone else just check out from stuff like this? Because I'm totally checked out now. Like, you even showed me the Star Wars armor that they have, and I didn't like that
Which
either.
Which it was a straight ripoff or whatever. Yeah. This definitely seems like a licensed collaboration. The weird thing is that they say that it's canon. I don't know how that works. What? They say that they're very much going to make it like a Destiny story, like Destiny's take on Star Wars, which it's like, okay, that's like too much immersion breaking, I feel like.
Yeah. What's next? Destiny's take on the Avengers? Like, come on.
And so that kind of leads into a larger conversation too of like how much is a crossover too much, right? Because I felt like previous crossovers that Destiny has done, like prior to the last couple of years, where I feel like they've just been like essentially trying desperately to get people to spend money on it. Like the inspired by stuff seems really cool, like it's like more subtle, right? And I appreciate that. Like the direct like rip-off stuff, like Ghostbusters was kind of, I mean, not a direct rip-off, but pretty close. Yeah. They did like that latest Star Wars one. The Assassin's Creed one was inspired by for the most part, but like they did have the assassin hood and everything, and it's like, okay, like is that too much? I don't know. Like, but also a lot of games are doing this, right? All because probably Fortnite.
Yeah, it's Fortnite's fault. Listen, I was okay with them being in Fortnite. I was okay with Zavala and them being in Fortnite, but this, come on.
Yeah.
Gosh. What?
And this is also like a pretty substantial expansion too. This isn't like a season of Star Wars or whatever. This is part of the story of Destiny. And it's like, I don't know that I like that. That seems like too much. Like, I mean, like, yeah. Right. Like I love Star Wars.
It's one thing for it to be like cosmetic stuff, love Destiny, right?
But yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing for it to be cosmetic. It's another thing for it to be this. Yeah. I feel like that on one hand, brother, what's that?
Like I bought the Star Wars armor. I did. But the Star Wars armor you can mix and match with any other armor set. And so that's kind of cool, actually. And you can put like whatever like shaders you want on it and everything. And so you can make it feel more Destiny. You don't have to do a straight rip off of a Stormtrooper or whatever. It's still weird seeing Stormtroopers or like, like TIE pilots or whatever, like in a tower or like on the field. But like, at least you can customize that, Like the story, you can't really like, I mean, I'm sure that the devs are, but like as a player, you can't really customize that. You can't like make that fit your immersion. And so I don't know, like, I guess we'll see. I'm sure that a bunch of people will buy it, but. But also they came out with a cool new, this is going to be a weird thing for me to say, a cool Crucible mode right now.
Okay.
That it's essentially breaks those fallen like mechs essentially versus tanks. And
that's kind of cool.
It's actually a really cool mode. Like no powers, no weapons or whatever beyond like what's on the actual like mech or tank, and it's just like it reminds me, actually, this is the biggest thing for me. It reminds me how good Bungie is at multiplayer when they have an even playing field. Because what I've always said about Destiny is that it's impossible to balance because of how many different weapons and how many different powers and how much customization. Like, that's really, really difficult to balance between like 6 to like 12 players or whatever the heck, like to figure out like how something's not going to be overpowered there,
It's interesting because I definitely didn't play a lot of Crucible, but I enjoyed playing it when I did get into it. I felt like I got, even though I wasn't playing like the meta of it, I got into it a decent amount, Or like Gambit. Remember before? Have they still abandoned Gambit? Is that just not
they're still, they made no mention of Gambit whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because like Gambit is like the one mode that I think would actually bring a lot of like old timers back to at least try. But like, yeah, it's just, it's what it is, I guess.
It's still around though, right?
It still exists. Yeah. It's just in that, like 2.0 form or whatever, where it's like essentially a mix of like Gambit and whatever that other mode was, Gambit Pro. But it's still fun. It still exists. It's just like they just haven't touched it, and that's a shame because there's like I think they added one map that used to be a map, and then they took it away to like replace it with something else. So now there's 4 maps instead of 3.
Yeah,
but like that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I can't believe you went back. I mean, I don't know why I say that because clearly, like, I'm pretty sure everyone listening can believe that you went back. But
it's like lava cakes from Domino's. Okay, like it's just like it tastes really good. And then also the other thing that brought me back was they have a new Sparrow that has guns on it that you can get. Apparently, it's kind of slow, but like that seemed really cool. So
you can use the guns on the Sparrow.
Yeah. And so I kind of went back for that because like
they
this
won't bring
new
back
mode,
Sparrow Racing.
but they won't bring back Sparrow Racing apparently. Yeah. Although, hey, maybe they will. Maybe they will on this like new planet or something. What's wild to me too is like that Lightfall planet, whatever the name was.
Yeah, but Neptune. They didn't do it on Neptune.
It looked perfect. It looked like it was built for Sparrow Racing, and so like I mean like it's just weird.
I have been playing Octopath Traveler. I've been playing it on stream. It's been really hard for me because I've been like limiting myself to only doing story missions on stream. And so it's funny because now I'm like, I need to stream. I need to stream something because I want to keep going on with the story here. And let me tell you, they know how to actually tell a story. I'll throw that out there. It's been, man, it's been awesome. I've been having so much fun. Other than, I actually even got Johnnie to start playing it. My son is playing it on the Xbox Series S, and he's really enjoying it. So that's like a win, just period. But Destiny, I thought that they were winding down. I thought that was their last. Is it that it's the last expansion? I'm just really confused by that.
That was the end of that saga, but apparently they're still going. I think too, like that they're kind of getting a little bit worried about Marathon maybe. And so maybe they're like, maybe we shouldn't abandon Destiny just yet. But like Frontiers was going to be like still a thing regardless, like that the story wouldn't end with like the final shape. And so there's been like nothing like
because that doesn't make sense, does it? The final something being the actual final. They were like, you know what? If it works for Final Fantasy, it'll work for us. Let's just.
I mean, yeah. Final Shape is really good. I still recommend that as a good bookend for Destiny. But yeah.
I stopped right before Final Shape, and I just don't see anything bringing me back, D. Except if it was compatible on Steam Deck or on if I got a mic. Oh, let's speculate. Do you think Destiny 2 is going to be on the Switch too?
That's a great question, actually. I mean, I'm sure Bungie would like it. I don't know how much control Bungie has anymore, but I'm sure
Oh,
Bungie would
that's
like it.
true. That's
Yeah.
true. Like, that would be crazy. Could you imagine?
I mean, they have it on like the Series S, and that's similar, like kind of spec wise to handheld gaming's platforms. So maybe, I don't know. Like, yeah, they have it on last gen consoles even when it comes down to it. Like,
Is it
I don't.
still on? That's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, it's on like Xbox One, PS4, and all that.
I think that's the thing that's crazy to me is that so I moved to Japan just over 10 years ago and Destiny came out like 3 weeks after I moved here. I remember Destiny 1 came out just a few weeks after because I didn't get a chance to play it with you guys until November when I got internet. And so I was a couple months late compared to you guys. And that's just wild that it's still going. And I mean, I'm just disappointed, I guess. It's just kind of a... It didn't turn out the way that I thought it would, you know?
Sure.
And
I think that there's a lot of missed opportunities. And this is my problem with how they're doing the story is like, I think that I think some of their ideas are actually kind of cool. I think some of their story beats are kind of cool. Like, I think like there's interest like that season of the Haunted with Erisborn becoming like one of the essentially becoming a rival to that hive leader, you know?
yeah, what's her name? Savathun's sister.
Yeah, I think that was actually kind of a cool story beat.
Didn't that not matter? That's the same season where Sloane was. Isn't that the same season that Sloane was taken or whatever?
No, that was the season after. I think Sloane was a taken, or the season before. One or the other.
See, this is the problem.
But,
you know what the problem is? I'm going to tie it in with this too. The problem with Destiny now is like the same issue with the Wheel of Time, in the sense that there's way too much stuff that doesn't matter.
I don't disagree.
It's like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, I guess that was cool. Like, did that matter at all? It didn't matter at all.
Well, it was a way to like essentially like beat Xivu Arath finally and like shove her out of the story, you know, and have Savathun come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I get your point. Like, I don't know. Like at some point you start going deep into lore, and it's like, well, this won't really matter to people who aren't keeping up with it. It'll only really matter to those who are like actually really invested. But then with the way that they dribble out lore, like it's like, okay,
how do you expect people to stay invested?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But then the other issue too is that I think that they have cool ideas, and they go, hey, this would be really cool. In terms of like gameplay mechanics, in terms of story beats, in terms of like aesthetics, and they never ask the question, does this fit with like what we already have? Is this staying true to what we've already established? You know?
Right.
And I like that's a huge part of story building is like making sure that you like keep the tone, you know, that like essentially like that your Thor is not too wacky and silly, you know? I mean, like, if he hasn't been in previous movies. Like,
we've talked about, like, the rule of cool and how Destiny does a good job with that. But you know who else does a good job with that, but I feel like has been pretty consistent, is Monster Hunter.
Sure. Yeah.
Monster Hunter, I think, but they aren't leaning heavy on the story, right? It's like the opposite thing. Everyone there is just for the gameplay. And there are some people who are into the lore and into the story and stuff, but primarily it's like this is about having cool moments killing monsters, right?
Right. Yeah.
But in a way, that's what's nice about it. Like they don't end up doing these kinds of things. You know, they don't end up nerfing your favorite helmet after they said that they were done nerfing it. You know, and that they felt like it was in a really good balanced place and that they were happy with it. And you know what? It's not even that they nerfed it; it's that they said they weren't going to nerf it, and then they did it quietly.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, they essentially betrayed you, like literally.
Yeah. They're like, we're not going to do it. We're happy with where it's at, and then buried deep in some notes, they quietly did it, and it's just like after that, like I'm just, you know, if you can't trust the devs, like I don't want to play the game. You know, like
That's fair. Yeah, I definitely get that perspective for sure. But I mean, my problem is there's just nothing that exists like Destiny.
Coming from someone who never had the helmet.
Yeah,
you know, listen, D, even though he played Titan, though you were playing Warlock too and Hunter, he never had the Splendor helm like I did.
That's true.
He didn't have a build around it. You never experienced it, D. You never experienced the glory days.
I was using other than watching me instead.
Other than watching me do it, right? Like oh man, crazy. How did we make this a Destiny podcast? Is this what happens when Farmer's not here? Like, I thought we're done. I thought we're done with it. The Destiny podcast is back. Well, D, do we have any closing comments? It's about time to wrap up.
Expedition 33 is really fantastic.
Are we telling people to go back to Destiny and check it out because there's some new content? Is that what you're suggesting?
I mean, like, sure.
Okay. I mean, you heard it here. I would suggest if anyone hasn't played Octopath Traveler to check it out. It's a great game. I've been loving it. Or if you didn't finish it, go back to it and finish it. It's a great game.
I've only played like the prologue of Expedition 33 and a little bit beyond, but I really, really, really enjoy it, and I think that you will too. So that's cool.
I've heard some of the music from it, and it's pretty good. So anyway.
Oh, also, you know what's coming out that we'll have to play? Maybe do a co-stream or something. Police Simulator Patrol Officers comes to Xbox Game Pass soon.
Let's go. Yeah. Hey, you know what? And what a great time, with the public being so supportive of our boys in blue. Am I right?
On both sides, yeah.
On both sides. All right, guys, you guys know what to do. Make sure to like and subscribe and do all of those things. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye. Get out of here, Craig.